Welcome to the Read&Write and OrbitNote training for Beaverton. I am going to be giving you kind of like the 30,000 foot view today. And hopefully we'll be able to dig a little bit deeper, but we want to be able to help your students, not just with Read&Write and the other parts of G Suite. We want to also help your students with OrbitNote. So I have dropped the link to the slides in the chat window. I will drop it in again so that everybody can see that. So if you go to that link, that bit.ly link, that is going to take you to the slides that we are talking about today. So my name is Nora Trent-Acosta. I am the Regional Sales Director for Text Help on the West Coast. And we have been working with Beaverton for quite some time with the Read&Write tools. And you have had access to our OrbitNote tool this past year, and that is what grew out of the old Snapburger that some of you might be familiar with. But at Text Help, we believe that everyone has the right to understand and be understood. It's a cute slogan, but we really mean it. So our tools are there to layer on top of any content that you're using, and it allows students to access the content, whether it be through, some basic text-to-speech. And it also allows them to respond. Everything that we do is based on universal design for learning. So there are going to be lots of different ways for your students to respond. So hopefully some of your students who aren't always able to, produce responses and follow through on things are going to be in a much better position to do that with some extra support like Read&Write and OrbitNote. So just to kind of a quick look at what's been going on previously in Beaverton, you guys have been with us since 2017, which is awesome. I've had a great time with lots of Beaverton teachers over the years. And you've been using Read&Write district-wide since 2019. And I thought I would just take a look at like which tools were being used at different times. So when we looked at like the height of that remote COVID instruction, everybody was kind of in like that hair on fire, what do we do mode. What happened? Well, the speech or the text-to-speech was the tool that was used the most. And then word prediction. And those are usually the tools that are used the most, but I see here annotation, and that jumped up quite a bit. And so that would make sense here. That people will want to look more deeply at OrbitNote and ways that we can use annotation. And then where our tools were used were docs, webs, PDF, and then slides. So we know that they're using the tools with PDFs. And then looking at this past school year, the top tools were speech again, and we do see that number go down, which is good. That probably means there's a little bit more balance in whether people are taking in information or putting out information. So that's great. Prediction, highlighters, and talking types. So I don't see annotation. I'm guessing that means that folks have been annotating more with other tools like Kami, but we're not taking anything away. There's more that you're going to be able to do, and it's going to be more consistent. So we can see here that when you were working in PDFs, it was having them read out loud, the speech annotations, and they were opened mostly from Google Drive. So I want to make sure that those of you who are using an LMS like Canvas also know how to layer these tools effectively into your LMS and share back and forth with PDFs. So just to kind of remind you like what we do with Read&Write and OrbitNote. We help our students to access grade level text. We help them to use academic vocabulary, not just understanding of it, but putting it on their writing to demonstrate their knowledge. I think that's a big one. And we want them to be able to participate in any curriculum and to achieve with their peers, regardless of where they stand in terms of MTSS. So just a quick reminder, Read&Write for Google Chrome is what you use inside G Suite, right? So it works in docs. So this is what the toolbar looks like for docs. And it works in slides. This is what the toolbar looks like for websites. And then this is the OrbitNote toolbar, okay? And that's what you would use for PDFs. But you'll notice, this is a little overwhelming, all of this stuff, but it's all customizable. You will notice that, yeah, there's a lot going on here, but holy cow, there are the colored highlighters everywhere. So if you know how to use the colored highlighters in a Google Doc, then you know how to use them on a website and you know how to use them in a PDF. Same thing with screen masking, text-to-speech, all of the great tools. Now, when you're on a PDF, you're going to be able to do all this cool annotation. And we're going to talk about how to use that to kind of bring your instruction up a notch to where your students get more comprehension and more chance to kind of show you what they know. So just to kind of reiterate, there are 3 parts of the program. There's Read and Write, which is that purple puzzle piece. There is OrbitNote, which is what we're going to talk about today. And then there's Screenshot Reader. So I'm not 100% clear as to whether OrbitNote was actually pushed out to the teachers and students at this point. It can be done that way. Anybody that's following along will make sure that you get a chance to download and set up OrbitNote. Your district does have a license of it, so there's nothing you have to do besides just download it. So I wanted to remind everyone, it's probably not news to anybody, but just in case, you need to, when you're downloading, this is an extension. So you need to make sure that you are not only logged into your Google Drive. So this little picture of me says that I can access my Gmail and all the things in my Google Drive. This little picture of me says that I can access who I am in Chrome, right? So these things that you see here are different extensions. So you can see the Read and Write that I would use for docs and slides and websites. And then you can see OrbitNote that I would use for PDFs. So I'm just going to quickly talk about how you would download that. So there is a link here. I'm on slide 8. There's a link here that will walk you through everything that you need to know to set up OrbitNote. So if you are following along with this recording, this will walk you through exactly what you need to download OrbitNote. And the first time you open it, you're going to open up a PDF from within your Google Drive, and we'll talk more about where other PDFs live. But you want to open that from within your Google Drive. And when you do that, it's going to pop up some permissions, and you want to make sure to accept those permissions. The district has vetted this technology and they know it's safe. So make sure that you accept those permissions and you will be in great shape. So that's kind of the background on just getting the OrbitNote tools and what they mean. So I will also point out, you can see that I have this OrbitNote icon up here. This little gray puzzle piece doesn't have anything to do with Read and Write. It's actually part of Chrome. And you can see here, I have to pin things if I want to see them. So if you have downloaded OrbitNote and you don't see it, check under that gray puzzle piece and make sure that that is highlighted up there. So that's what we need to do to have OrbitNote. So in the past, there was a tool that was part of Read and Write that was called the PDF Reader. And in the middle of last school year, that PDF Reader became a new tool called OrbitNote. And that tool is going to be much more powerful than what we've been able to have before. And that tool is designed to work with other tools. So it works not just with the Read and Write, but our Equatio tools. So you can have any content and you can kind of work with that. So before I go any further, I wanted to just double check and see, are there any questions at all right now?
Hey,
so
Nora, this is Cassie. I have a question.
Hi, Cassie.
Hi. Does TextHelp offer all 3 of these OrbitNotes plus Read and Write plus Screenshot Reader as the free for teachers for our teachers to load?
So you guys actually have a district license of premium OrbitNote, so you don't even have to worry about that.
Okay.
You've got the whole Monty.
Because the district in the past has asked us to do the free for teachers rather than
don't have to. Nope.
Don't have to. Okay.
Don't have to. You've got the whole thing. I don't know where that need to do free for teachers came from, but you actually don't need to. You get it. And just so you guys know, when you purchase from us, you actually register your domain with us. So anybody that downloads the tool is going to be downloading a 30-day trial, but we know your domain because it's registered with us, and then you just get continuing access. So you don't have to worry about the whole free for teachers thing.
Fantastic. So, thank you.
So I thought I would just give a quick overview of OrbitNote before we get into some of the details here. So I am going to just open up a PDF that I have here in my drive. And let's just kind of take a peek here. You can see I've got some really basic stuff here, but you can see the OrbitNote toolbar up here, right? So you can see, if you're familiar already with Read and Write, you can see a lot of these tools that you know and love, right? So I can, look at content in here and I can hear this read out loud. right? And we have that dual highlighting, so it's lighting up the active word that we're hearing. There's a lot of science behind that and how that enhances comprehension, right? So that's the basic. You can also do this click to speak. So I can click anywhere here in the text, right? And it'll read there. So a lot of the tools that you already know and love, you have your dictionary, right? So we can look up words in the dictionary and the picture dictionary. So you guys are getting an idea. If you haven't been using Read and Write, this tool is very much similar to Read and Write, right? It just is what we do inside of a PDF. So the idea is that these tools that you already know and love, you're going to be able to continue to use the same way, right? And this is slightly different, the highlighters, right? We didn't want to make a huge toolbar across your PDF. So if you wanted to highlight specific words, for instance, I'm just going to grab a couple. Oops. Let's see. Let's undo that. Undo that guy. And we'll say pray. And then we can use all the tools that you know and love. You can collect the highlights. You can use your vocabulary list. And everything is happening inside your Google Drive, right? So if I create that vocabulary list, that is going to appear inside my Google Drive. And those are all things that I'm doing directly from that PDF. So if you're already used to Read and Write, these are all things that you're used to doing already, right? But where it gets interesting with PDFs is annotation. And I can see that's something that that people in Beaverton like to do. There are different ways that you can annotate here. And I'm going to kind of start from the kind of the lowest level to the highest level of annotation. So yes, you can ink or draw on PDFs with OrbitNote, which is awesome. But I kind of want you to think a little bit deeper than just doing that scribing, right? So, I've been writing my name for several decades now, and that's as good as I can do with the scribing. And it's not that great. If you're looking at, students that maybe don't have the clearest handwriting, what's going to happen if they handwrite on a PDF and come back to it 2 weeks later? Are they even going to recognize what they said, right? And I don't want to see, just kind of reproducing the worksheet mentality. Why are we taking students and giving them all of the support on a Chromebook and then having them just circle the correct answer? We can definitely do more and help them to make their learning and their expression deeper. So I would be more likely to use these drawing tools in a more kind of higher order way. So what if you ask students to draw a yellow bracket where they thought they would find the answer to question number 2 or something? That's a much more effective way to use that scribing tool. This is what I think people are looking for when they want to annotate PDFs. This typewriter T, I can grab this typewriter T, and of course I can type in there. I can also speak in there. This is due on Friday. And then I can hear this read back. And I can come back and edit anytime I want, right? And I can make this bigger. I can make this smaller. And then I can drag this. So if you do have like a worksheet style and you want to put that right, you're doing closed sentences, or you want to put that right on a specific line, you can just drag it right there. But something that's different is this is now editable. I can hear this. I can think about it. I can change that. And I can say, okay, instead of due on Friday, I want to say before Friday, right? So whatever I want to do, I can change that. I can change the color of it, right? And I can have that anywhere. So that's the typewriter T. This one over here, this is our push pin annotation. So you can see before I pushed it, there was just a little hint there. So I like to think of this as like kind of scaffolding. So if I push on that, I can now hear that read out loud. So I'm giving the students some strategies. I'm telling them that they are going to be using compare and contrast strategies as they go through this document, right? The other benefit of this is that was pretty lengthy. It would have covered up a lot of the text, right? So you can think of it as scaffolding for just, point of use for the kids who need it, or a way for you to put a little bit more. So those are the standard things. There is a brand new thing, which is really awesome. This just came out this week. You can now insert an image directly into your PDF. So I'm going to click right here and insert the image. And I am going to choose to do this from my computer. And I am going to go here and I am going to pick this picture of a raptor somewhere here. There we go. All right, so there's my raptor, right? And I can fill that down and drag it around wherever I want, right? So that's that piece. So this is the part that I think people don't always find on their own. If you've ever used the comments in Google Docs, this works exactly like the comments in Google Docs. So you have these comments over here, and to start one, it's just like a Google Doc. You click over here, and then you click to start the comment. But what's different, right? We can read those out loud. Now, the different ways that we can respond in the comments are voice note. I'm not really sure what a pesticide is. Is that what you mean? Like, is it poison? And I can put that in there, and that's going to make a voice note right inside there, and we'll be able to hear that, right? Okay, the other ways that I can respond is I can use our word prediction, right? Right? So I can do that, right? I can use my speech input. All right, I hit my, sorry about that. So I can also use the speech input, the play button. I can include an image over here if I want to, and I could also attach a document over here. So in this particular lesson, I was suggesting that the students use the highlighters to look for things that are good for birds of prey and bad for birds of prey. So they're doing a compare and contrast. What if they did that compare and contrast and they had connected that to some kind of a graphic organizer? You could actually attach that graphic organizer over here if that's what you wanted to do. Or you could share the whole thing through an LMS, either way. So that's kind of OrbitNote in a nutshell. I just wanted you guys to kind of see some of the things that it does before we went on any further. What questions do you guys have for me right now? Anything that you particularly wanted to hear or see before we kind of dig into the more particulars of it? Okay. I am going to share some options with you. And if there is one thing that I want you to take away from my presentation today, this is probably the slide that is going to give you the most use. So I'm going to actually put a comment in here. I'm going to say, look for answers to questions here. Okay, just so you guys can quickly find this slide. This is most of the questions that come up when people are learning to use OrbitNote are going to be answered right here. We have an awesome support site. You can go here and you can ask questions yourself, but I pulled out the ones that I know are most likely to be used. So let me kind of show you a couple of these things. So what happens if you want to view PDFs online or not online? So let's talk about what that means. So I am on a website that I know has some free PDFs that I can work with. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on this PDF right here. And here's this one about insects. So I'm going to click on it. And you're going to see, here's the website. I'm still on the website. And you can see I'm in a preview mode, right? It's black around the edges. There's no toolbar. So what if I want to do something with this? I have a bunch of different options, and I'll show you first. What I've done here is I have not made OrbitNote my default PDF option online. And that's how I actually like it. I'll show you why in just a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and click here and open with OrbitNote. It told me what to do. It wasn't really hard to do. I did that, and in pops my toolbar. And oh my goodness, Nora has been on this thing before, right? So you can see all the annotations that I made on here before. So I can come back here and I can do more annotations, right? I can grab my little pen and I can squiggle another little thing on there, right? So you can see that I can annotate this and the annotations are there. However, where does this live? This PDF, where does this live? This PDF lives on this website. I don't own this PDF. So I could come back here tomorrow and all of my gorgeous artwork could be gone. So if I want to save this, I would click upload, and this will make a new copy of this in my Google Drive. And I will just put it anywhere here, just so we have it. Okay. And we'll just put it in here. Right. So once we save that, we will then have those items completely available for us in our Google Drive. We can come back to it again and again. So you can see when I go back to it on the website, my things are still there, but I could come back tomorrow and they could be gone. So for me personally, I want to be reminded that I am making a choice about where I want to put that. So I choose not to have everything automatically open when I'm on the web as a PDF. I know myself. I know I'm going to take a 70-page PDF and annotate the heck out of it and close it and come back next week and go, where did it go? So if you want to choose to do that, you have some options. So if you right click where it says OrbitNote, and then you go down to here where it says options, you can choose to open web PDFs directly. So I don't have that marked. It's as simple to go in here and turn it on and off as that. So it's purely personal choice what you like. I just know myself and I want that reminder to say, hey, Nora, don't be silly, go save this somewhere. If I didn't have that, then we might have that situation that you saw here. Like you could annotate it and come back and have it be gone. So I wanted to make sure that you guys knew how to set that PDF viewer in Drive. If you've been using Cami, it's very likely that you have your PDF viewer set to Cami. So another thing that you want to look at is how you would decide when to use the different tools. So if you're in your Google Drive and you go here to the settings, you can see under Manage Apps, I have all the different tools that I use. And if you have Cami, you're going to have something there. So here's Read and Write for Google Chrome used by default, right? So I have that one. And then let's see, come on, OrbitNote used by default, right? So if you wanted to switch back and forth, for instance, between Cami and OrbitNote, this is where you would do that. I just want to point out that if you are going to share annotations with your students in OrbitNote, you need to have OrbitNote and they need to have OrbitNote, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. You have options here, but I just wanted to make sure that you know what your options are. This is a lot that I'm sharing with you. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew how to find that again. Okay. So any questions with that? I know that can be a lot to process, but I just want to make sure that you guys have options. Okay. Now let's get to the tricky stuff. I know we've done all this other stuff, but what is the tricky stuff? The tricky stuff is an image-only PDF. So I don't know if you know what an image-only PDF is. You can see over here in this image, there's not really anything much that I can do, right? And this one, you can see there's all kinds of things I can do. I can select text and I can have it read out loud and all of those kind of great things. So where do inaccessible PDFs or image-only PDFs come from? It could be that you had a, I would say the number one source of them is when you go to a copy machine and you press that red button that says PDF. Very few copy machines are enabled to provide full OCR scanning. So your image will be turned into a PDF, like it'll end with, whatever the name of it, .pdf, but really it might as well just be a photo. The computer doesn't know if it's looking at, the words on the page or a picture of the ocean or a sack of potatoes. It doesn't know. And so there's really not that much that it can do without that. So when you're looking at an image-only PDF, you're going to need to scan it. And that's what your premium OrbitNote will do. Some of you may have been using Snapburger in the past, and you had Snapburger previously, and then that became OrbitNote. So if any of you were previously using Snapburger, you knew there were some steps that you had to take to go ahead and convert that image-only PDF into an accessible PDF. But guess what? There's less steps now. So I think you guys will like that. I'm going to show you what happens when you open an inaccessible PDF. So this is a PDF that is in my Google Drive. And I am looking at it. Oh, it is not inaccessible. So hang on just a minute. I'm going to go here and I'm going to make a new version of this. So you know I have an inaccessible version. So let's do make a copy. Let's see. Make a copy. All right, so I'm going to have an inaccessible PDF, and you're going to see what it looks like for me to open this from my Google Drive. So I know this is locked, but I want you to see what the experience is like when you go to open a locked PDF. So you're going to see the whole toolbar is up here, right? And I'm going to get a message that says, ooh, we didn't find any text. Would you like us to scan and add the text for you? And I'm going to do that in a minute, but I wanted to show you the things that you can do before you scan that, because sometimes it's a little confusing. And so I wanted to talk about some of the things that you can do before you go ahead and scan that. So with an image-only PDF, you can't use text-dependent features. It's just going to be the features that you could use on a picture. So anything that you can overlay on top of the text, you are going to be able to do with this guy, right? So what are those things? Well, I can't read, right? I can't select any text and read. So I can't use any of the reading tools. I can't use the dictionary and the picture dictionary because those are text dependent, right? I can use the screenshot reader, which if you had a PDF that only had a little bit of content on it, you weren't going to use it again. Sure, you could take your PDF, your screenshot reader, and you could grab the little part that you wanted to read and it would read it for you. But I can't look anything up in the dictionary. I can't do anything else. So that would be like kind of emergency, I think. I can't use the vocabulary tool because I can't select anything. Likewise with the highlighters, can't do anything, right? Can't collect anything, but I can use my screen masking, right? Because that's not text dependent. I can use my inking, right? Because that's not text dependent. I can use all of my annotation tools that I shared with you before, the text, the typewriter, the image, all of that kind of good stuff. But can I make a comment? No, I cannot. Why? Because the comment has to be attached to the text, and this doesn't know there's any text yet. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, I do want to scan. It's going to ask you the language just so it can go faster, and it's going to immediately scan it for me. It's going to put that scanned copy in my Google Drive.
If it's not possible, it's not possible.
And any annotations that I might have put there are going to stay. So any questions? I know that's a lot, the scanning, but it should be pretty straightforward. You guys saw it, like it popped up. It said, do you want to scan? Yes, I want to scan it. It's going to put it right there in your Google Drive. So is there anybody here that has previously used Snapburger? Did you guys use that before to scan with? I know Cassie has.
Yeah, this is Cassie. One of the things I'm thinking about is I'm wondering when we scan something on the copiers within the district, whether they're picture only or whether they.
To my knowledge, they are. To my knowledge, there may be
Yeah.
1 or 2 sites that paid for the chip.
Yeah.
Like your neighbors in Tiger Tualatin spent a lot of money to get the chips on all of their copy machines, and they have it. As far as I know, there may be a few principals that paid for it, but as far as I know, that is not something that that happens. Yeah. So that's exactly why you'll need this, right?
Right.
So so I just wanted you guys to have an idea of what you can and can't do. I have some examples. We don't have a ton of time left. So we can play with some of these examples that I have, and we can look a little bit more in depth, or we could look a little bit more at some strategies, and also how to use PDFs, with how to share PDFs and annotations effectively, whether you're using Canvas or whether you're using another method. So do you guys have a sense of like what you would kind of want to see more?
Nora, it's Cassie again. Sorry, I seem to be the only one talking, but is there anything new or different in terms of using Read and Write or OrbitNotes, et cetera, with things that teachers have not just posted within Canvas, but have designed within Canvas, you know, using Canvas's tools for text fields and answer fields and that sort of thing. We talked about this, I think, last year a little bit. And I just wondered if there'd been any, you know, movement forward
Sure.
from you guys as
So there's a couple of different things that you want to think about. So one is, what are you trying to do in Canvas, right? So for everything except PDFs in Canvas, I'm just going to go ahead and open a website so you guys can see, any of you that might be watching this recording later or something that don't know. I just wanted to make sure that you guys know what the web toolbar looks like, right? So you have the web toolbar, you go on any website, including inside your LMS, right? And you press the purple puzzle piece and you get the toolbar, right? And then we can use the toolbar to do lots of different things, right? So we can read things, right? And we can, if there's a place for us to annotate, then we're going to be able to annotate, right? If there's a place for us, this website is prepared content. They're not asking me any questions, so I can't use word prediction, right? But if there is a, you know, a text box or someplace where students would be interacting, then the word prediction is going to work, right? So you have to kind of think about how it's presented. In the case of, you know, this somebody else's published website, they're not asking me questions, so I can't answer them with word prediction. But if you're in your LMS and there is a place to respond, then yes, you would be able to use word prediction and you know, other input tools. Does that kind of help answer the question?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, so that would be through this. And if you know, already had content in there and you didn't want to modify that content or do anything else, then you would just use that web toolbar, right? And you got to the web toolbar like right there. But let's talk about you're planning a new lesson and you want to share it with Canvas. So one thing that we want to think about, because I know we had talked earlier, I had talked earlier with some of you about, okay, so your secondary students are using Canvas, your elementary, your primary students are using Seesaw. For Seesaw, really all you have to do is just share the PDF in Google Drive and add the link to Seesaw, right? That's all you have to do. Similarly, if you have like 4th and 5th graders, you're not really using an LMS at all, same kind of thing. You could put a link to a PDF, just like I did here in this slide, right? Like I told you guys to go to this PDF and make a copy. Where it gets interesting though, is, you know, anything else in Google, you can make a template, you share one link, everybody makes their own copy. The glory of an LMS is that the teacher uploads the thing and it just automatically makes a copy for the students. So you need to be thinking about, where does your PDF live and how do you want to share it? So there's a pretty tried and true process for that. If you're using an LMS, if you're not using an LMS, you're going to have to get like creative. So when I told you guys to make a copy of the bad scan document, I just basically gave you like view only permission, and you would have to like download this or add this to your Google Drive, right? So think about that. But even above and beyond that, the most important thing that you need to think about when you're sharing PDFs is that PDF has to live somewhere. You saw when we looked at our friendly little insect thing, right? It does live somewhere. It lives on their website. That's a risky proposition, right? I don't know whether I'm going to be able to come back to it. My stuff is still going to be there, right? If you give your PDF a home in your Google Drive, then when you annotate it, you own the annotations. When the students annotate your document, they own the annotations, right? So you're in charge of the annotations and where they live and how they get shared. If you don't have that in your Google Drive, then it's kind of like this little guy in the picture, right? Like they're confused. They don't know where to go. So if you share annotations with students and other people in G Suite or in your LMS, they always have a place to live if you give it a home in your Google Drive. If you don't give those annotations a home in your Google Drive, they're going to be somewhere on the internet, right? So maybe they live inside the LMS, but they don't really, right? The same kind of thing. This is a very maybe situation. I don't know that I'm going to be able to come back to those. I could come back tomorrow and they're going to be gone. So the main thing I want you guys to think about as you're sharing PDFs is that you need to start with the PDF in your Google Drive. That's how you have control. So once you've done that, you have a lot of different options. And I wanted to make sure you guys knew that I have other LMSs represented here. So If you're looking at other LMS, I don't think anybody's using Classroom, but some ideas for Seesaw. But I wanted to talk about how you would use OrbitNote with Canvas, right? So you saw all the cool things that we could do with OrbitNote. I have all of the instructions here. I would walk you through it if I had access to Canvas, but I don't. This right here is an article that will walk you exactly through how you would download the OrbitNote for Canvas app, right? So this will show you exactly how to go and get that and exactly what to do. And so you'll download that and then you'll edit it in order to link up your annotations and all of your content. You have to enter this shared secret and launch URL. And that information is in this article, but it's also like right here on this piece. So once you've done that, you're going to be able to actually work directly inside the Canvas, right? So this is available with OrbitNote Premium. You guys have OrbitNote Premium, so you have it. You may have to check with your Canvas administrator. I don't know if that's still Paul, but you may need to check with your Canvas administrator just to make sure it's allowed. And we're more than happy to help with that. I hate to do videos instead of me, but I'm gonna have to do that because I don't have Canvas. So I'm just gonna show you guys this video. So hopefully you guys are hearing the audio.
No, we're not hearing the audio. You might have to
Oh
go
my
back
goodness, I'm so
to, you might have
sorry.
to
I
go
think
back
it's
to
'cause
share screen and then click that little button.
Yep.
Yeah.
let me see. There we go. And sorry, folks, outside the domain there, that's what you get. Sorry. Are you guys hearing it now? Shit in a second. Is that better?
No, still no sound.
Okay, I hate to do this to you guys, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you guys watch this video, but just know this is going to walk you exactly through how to set it up and everything that you would do inside of Canvas. But
I can try and narrate it a little bit, Nora. No, we've gone through this process.
Okay.
It is there. We know
Okay.
we can use it for sure.
Okay, awesome. And then I do have screenshots. So again, sorry, I can't do that, but I'll at least show you guys the screenshot so you guys can see what that looks like, right? So to create an assignment, once you've set up OrbitNote, you just set up your OrbitNote assignment, choose the PDF. Where does the PDF come from? Quick quiz. Your Google Drive, right? So make sure that PDF is living in your Google Drive. Choose that PDF. And then you can annotate it. You saw all the cool ways that I can annotate, right? You can push pins, all that kind of good stuff. You can add whatever annotations that you want and then share those with students. The students can annotate. And as they complete the assignment, you're going to be able to use the speed grader, right? And then if you wanted to, you would actually be able to send that back. If you want to resubmit, the students are going to be able to continue using the annotations back and forth. So does that help a little bit? I'm sorry I can't do it for you directly in Canvas, but hopefully that helps a little bit. So any questions? Oh, okay. Any questions about that? I wish I could do that directly with you, but we should be able to kind of facilitate that with, you've got lots of resources there. And if we wanted to have a session where, you know, we could kind of guide you while one of you guys modeled it, we could definitely do that. So what questions do you guys have for me? It's a lot in 45 minutes.
And I'll just answer for everyone that's in here. Yeah, we're having a lot of issues with a teacher source this morning. So I'll go ahead and go in and make sure that everybody is registered and given credit for today's course. So
Okay, well, I wanted to make sure that you guys had access to the OrbitNote tools. I wanted to make sure that you have access to our support site. So there is like a support site at Text Help. So this is for Read and Write. But if I go back here, I can choose OrbitNotes, and pretty much any question that you're going to want to look at is going to be handled in there. And so that's your sort of 24-hour asynchronous, I need help right now. But I also wanted to make sure that you knew that our tech support is more than happy to work with you guys on any of this kind of stuff. It's totally included with your licensing. They are in Massachusetts. So, you know, the odds of you catching them on the phone, you probably want to talk to them at, you know, after school time when they're already gone home, right? So, so email them, and they love screenshots, right? So if you send a screenshot of, I'm trying to do this and I'm kind of stuck, they might answer it before you're even awake, right? Because they're on the East Coast time. So I wanted to kind of reiterate an offer I made earlier. If you'd like for me to, you know, come back and dig in a little bit more on this stuff, I can. We can help with the Canvas piece. We can help with looking at specific content, PDF content that you guys want to interact with, and kind of help you take that to the next level. Another thing that I can do that I've done in a lot of districts is something that I call a lesson lab. So if you wanted to bring content that you had, like PDFs that you had that you wanted to, whether you're using Canvas or otherwise, you wanted to bring that in and do a little bit more with, I can sort of facilitate your planning with that and how to get the most out of the OrbitNote tools. And then you would like actually leave with something prepped, right? And before I leave you, I wanted to drop into this, which is all stuff that we could look at later, but I hope we're moving beyond having students just, you know, circle the right answer on a worksheet at this point. And this is some ideas for how you can add rigor to instruction with PDFs. And this is available for you in those links there. So we can talk about some of those strategies, and that would be a great way for us to think about if we wanted to do, you know, a lesson lab or some kind of further exploration there. So any other questions or anything that that your team can think of that we might want to look at?
I think this was a really great overview, Nora. Thank you so much. I'm really excited about the possibilities of just more people using Read and Write, and specifically being maybe introduced to this OrbitNotes in a new capacity, just to rethink about how Read and Write really has great skills for every student, not just, you know, our special ed students or something, like, right? Like, it's like, I really would like to see it used much more across the spectrum. So that's kind of my bigger hope for the next year or so, is that our usage numbers are just going to go up even more.
Awesome. Delighted. I am so happy to be with you guys today. You've got my contact information in those slides. Don't be shy about reaching out, and we'll definitely be in touch a little bit more this year.